The scene opens with Kage sitting on the sand, staring out at the shimmering sea. His expression is a mix of confusion and disbelief. Why is he even here? Before he can figure it out, a familiar voice calls his name. Natsu's enthusiastic call brings him back to reality. She's there, with Nanako, both emerging from the changing rooms in their bikinis. Kage finds his gaze darting away in a rush, wondering where he's supposed to look. Natsu tilts her head, noticing his nervousness, and boldly strikes a few poses. She teases him, stating that there's nothing to be ashamed of, everyone's wearing swimsuits today. Kage meanwhile stammers that's not really the point. Nanako crosses her arms, eyebrows furrowing, and asks Natsu why Kage is even there with them. Natsu casually explains that she invited him as a sort of bodyguard, someone to fend off unwanted attention. Nanako lets out a dramatic sigh, noting there are plenty of more decent people for that. Kage glances at both their figures and quietly thinks to himself, setting aside Natsu, there's really nobody who'd be bold enough to approach Nanako. His expression almost slips, and Nanako, sensitive to danger, asks if he said something. Her fist tightens. Natsu quickly eases the tension, much to Kage's relief as he quietly considers whether he should just go home. Nanako starts ordering him to carry the basket and set up their spot. Kage dutifully obeys. Once the small tent is up, it's barely big enough for a single person, and Natsu boldly climbs in, asking Kage to apply sunscreen. His cheeks grow red as he stutters, "Me?" But in the end, a pair of hands, Nanako's, emerge to do the rubbing instead. Kage lets out a silent sigh of relief. He finds a small air float and quietly ponders whether it's okay for him to be there, just a few feet away. Natsu and Nanako grab their own float rings and rush toward the water. Kage decides he'll remain safely in the shade, until Natsu suddenly grabs his hand, tugging him toward the waves. In the water, Kage finds himself trailing a few paces behind. Nanako glances back and says, "Don't stare at me." Kage reluctantly insists he's not. After a moment of fun, Natsu feels thirsty, and the two make their way back toward the shore while Nanako heads to the restroom. Walking side by side with Natsu, Kage starts to notice the glances from nearby guys, the way their eyes linger on Natsu, and it stirs up something he hadn't quite expected. They're probably thinking I'm not good enough for her, he quietly reflects. He then realizes two guys are staring, trying to identify Natsu, wondering if she's someone famous. Kage signals this to Natsu and their panic sets in. Without thinking, he grabs her hand, and together they dart away to avoid further commotion. The two barely make it back to their small refuge, the little tent, where Kage finds himself flat on his back with Natsu sprawled on top of him. His pulse races. What kind of situation is this? Natsu, blushing, worries aloud about what to do if those guys know their identities. Kage finds their worries completely misplaced. There are much more confusing problems at hand. His grip inadvertently falls on her, his hand resting against her side, while Natsu's is pressed against his stomach. Between the softness, the warmth, and the floatai wedged against him, he finds he can't move. He asks Natsu to check if the guys are still nearby, thinking it might ease their worries, or his own. But instead, when he opens his eyes, he finds Natsu turning to look outside, putting her rear directly in his view. Natsu announces quietly with a nervous blush that the guys are still there. Kage reluctantly realizes the previous, less hectic position might have been much better, especially as he feels his own body reacting in a way he can't control. At that moment, Nanako suddenly opens the tent's flap, eyebrows furrowing, wondering what exactly they're up to. Kage, with nervous drops of sweat, stammers an explanation, but Nanako cuts him off, stating boldly that she already dealt with those guys. Kage finds himself thinking, then what was the point of him even being there? As the two emerge from the tent, Nanako asks where her drink is. Natsu quietly admits that there hadn't been time to get it, much to Nanako's disbelief, and then Nanako crosses her arms and asks just what they were actually up to in there. The sunset glows warmly through the glass of the karaoke room, casting a rich orange aura over the two. Natsu tilts her head, closing her eyes as Kage's song plays, pure happiness blooming in her expression. Natsu lets a delighted sigh escape, thinking to herself that she hadn't noticed he could make something this cute. Across from her, Kage puffs up just a bit, trying to mask his nervousness with confidence. After all, he does have many talents. Natsu tilts forward, eyebrows arching mischievously, wondering about the lyrics she wrote this time. Kage reluctantly glances down at the sheet. His expression drops, pure disbelief. They kind of feel elementary school-like. Natsu's cheeks rush up in color, a dramatic blend of embarrassment and indignation. So cruel. He scratches his head, wrestling with the eternal problem. This time they decided to make it cute, but what can be done? Natsu crosses her arms in deep thought. Then suddenly her face glows. She's got a really good plan, just leave it to her. Sometime later, the two find themselves in front of a frilly cafe. Kage tilts his head reluctantly. Here. Natsu boldly nods. If cuteness is what they're after, this is the place. The moment they step in, a chorus rings through the cafe, "Welcome, master." And there stands a familiar face, the weird girl from their live show event, now wearing a frilly maid outfit. Kage stiffens, he remembers. Natsu casually waves, the weird girl's eyes glimmering in recognition. Oh, the guy who loves girls, Kage internally screams. Wait, that's a terrible way to describe me. The weird girl tilts her head. Are they a couple? She drops her voice to a dramatic whisper. Don't worry, her lips are tighter than a plush toy. Wait, which lips is she talking about? Kage lets out a nervous laugh, a huge misunderstanding, while Natsu pouts, eyebrows furrowing in disbelief. The two seem really close. Is Kage a regular here? The weird maid crosses her arms smugly, declaring that they're otaku buddies. Kage drops his face into his hands. Please, spare him from further embarrassment. He finds a seat, reluctantly, while Natsu slips away to the changing room. Shortly after, Natsu emerges in a frilly maid outfit, pure cuteness personified, tilting her head cutely. Kage asks quietly why a maid's uniform, to which Natsu just drops a mischievous hint. The two decided to serve him a full-course meal as maids, to aid in Natsu's quest for cuteness in her song's lyrics. The weird girl starts crying tears of happiness. It's a dream come true serving her idol. Natsu gracefully prepares a plate with a fluffy omelette. She focuses, forms a heart with her hands and casts a magic spell. Kyun. The weird girl practically melts with happiness. Kage stands there petrified, wondering what the fuck he's gotten into. The weird girl signals there's more to come. Natsu brings a spoon toward him, filled to the brim with affection, asking him to enjoy this meal made with pure love. The weird girl cheers. That's the spirit. Natsu boldly strikes a pose and lets her magic flow into his drink, a pure shower of love. Kage is rendered a silent statue. He reluctantly tasted the omelette. Surprisingly, it's pretty good. The weird girl leans in and whispered something. It's all thanks to magic, and Kage finds his pulse accelerate. Is she reading his mind? After their meal, the weird girl claps her hands. Now it's time for the final stretch, a photo shoot with his maids in a private room. Kage asks quietly, isn't this kind of an erotic shop? Inside, Natsu gracefully poses in various cute stances while Kage reluctantly photographs her. His pulse growing faster with each shutter click. Natsu glances back with a mischievous spark. Should he be more enthusiastic? Will her skirt be fine? Natsu casually lifts a corner, a moment that almost shows what's underneath, adding that it's fine, there's something there. Kage finds his pulse skyrocketing. Maybe it's those show panties they wear? After nearly 10 photos, Natsu exits to change back into her own clothes. The weird girl tilts her head. How was it? Natsu glows warmly, it was really fun. Kage glances down at the 4,000 yen bill reluctantly, wondering if he's supposed to pay, but the weird girl waves it away, stating it's covered. She got to work with her idol today. Is that really okay? Then someone calls for the weird girl, manager. And Kage realizes, wait, she's the fucking manager? The two say their goodbyes and walk side by side down the bustling city streets. Natsu tilts her phone toward him, a gallery filled with photos from their photo shoot. Natsu lets a delighted giggle escape, they turned out really cute. How's her maid style? Kage crosses his arms and reluctantly turns his face away. It wasn't that cute. Natsu pouts, that's so mean? Then Kage quietly adds under his breath that he prefers her, the way she normally is. Natsu's cheeks grow rosy, and with a mischievous glimmer in her eye, she teases him. Summer had come and gone with nothing but melodies to show for it. Kage had spent every free hour crafting music, fingers dancing across keys with the screen off like it was second nature. They said geniuses worked in silence, but Kage? He worked in darkness too. Just as he leaned back from finishing another track, his phone buzzed. It was Natsu. Her message was short and sweet. Another new song meant another performance. This time she wanted him in the crowd again. And honestly, after days locked in his own sonic bubble, the idea of unwinding didn't sound too bad. And so, under the dim, color-drenched lights of the live house, Kage found himself once again blending into the audience. His gaze flicked to the slate by the stage entrance. Multiple names? Not a solo set. He chuckled silently. Natsu's been leveling up, but a full-on event? Wasn't that a bit much? Before the thought could finish brewing, a familiar chaotic energy burst onto the scene. The weird girl from before, the one with volume issues and no concept of personal space, shouted her way into his field of hearing. Apparently she remembered everything. She hollered something about how cute Natsu looked during her last performance, loud enough to echo off the walls. The girl seated beside Kage threw him a dagger-eyed glare, and in an instinctive act of self-preservation, he offered a polite, silent apology. Not that he had any clue what he was sorry for. Then the lights shifted. The stage bathed in a soft pink glow. Natsu stepped forward, mic in hand, posture confident. Kage smirked. That intro of hers, it had practically become her signature line by now. Like a catchphrase in a sitcom, and the audience? They ate it up every time. She began to sing and the room changed. The weird girl nudged Kage, asking if he wasn't joining the call-and response this time. Was he trying to act like a secret boyfriend in the shadows? He almost choked. Boyfriend? That was not the idea, right? The beat dropped. The crowd lit up. Natsu struck a pose mid-performance and the place roared. Even the girl beside Kage, moments ago an ice queen, looked absolutely dazzled. Pride bubbled in Kage's chest. This was the reaction she deserved. And his music had helped get her there. Once the set ended, backstage in the private room, Natsu was already glowing with excitement. Talk swirled about how well the crowd received the new song, about the energy, the calls, the dancing, until a knock interrupted them. The door opened. And in walked her. That same girl from earlier, dagger eyes, aisle seat. But now more composed. Her name? Mimoka. And Natsu? She knew her. Another singer, apparently. Without missing a beat, Mimoka asked the kind of question that instantly made rooms go quiet. Is he your boyfriend? Natsu handled it coolly, composer not boyfriend. Still, a call whisked her away and suddenly the air thickened. Just Kage and Mimoka. Alone. Silence. Kage awkwardly stepped back about to leave, until Mimoka grabbed his hand. Wait, what? She asked if he really composed that song. He nodded. Then came her next request. Write one for her too. She even offered to pay. He casually mentioned he'd made Natsu's song for free. Her eyes widened like she'd just witnessed a war crime. Phenomenal music? For free? Was he insane? And just when Kage thought it couldn't get weirder, she asked if he had a crush on that busty girl. Kage's brain flatlined. Busty? That was her take? Mimoka muttered something under her breath, something about the song being wasted on a girl whose only charm was her chest. Then, in one swift motion, grabbed his hand and placed it on her own boob. The room froze. Kage's soul briefly left his body. Blushing, Mimoka asked again, voice softer now, would he make a song for her too? Kage's thoughts spiraled into chaos. What in all that is sacred? Mimoka, meanwhile, smugly assumed that men always gave in after the sacred grail of boob contact. Kage gently but firmly removed his hand. He said he couldn't help her, not when they barely knew each other. That stunned her. He said no. Even after that? Could it be, men weren't just about breasts? That they wanted something deeper? She was almost having an existential crisis when she made her next move. With zero hesitation and full commitment to madness, she began removing her clothes. Then came her declaration. Getting to know each other was the problem. They could fix that. Right. No. Red-faced and wide-eyed, Kage stood frozen in the private room of the live house, staring at the absolute chaos that was Mimoka, in nothing but her bra and panties. What kind of cursed event flag had he just triggered? His thoughts raced in slow motion. What is this perverted woman even doing? If Natsu ever walked in, it wouldn't just be misunderstandings, his chastity would be toast. At this rate, he wouldn't even survive to write another melody. Emergency escape initiated. Kage turned and ran. Not gracefully. Not heroically. Just raw, panicked retreat. Behind him, Mimoka called out, still blushing, muttering that if he ran away like this, it would just make her look like the pervert. Then she sighed, seduction, officially a failed mission. By the time Kage stumbled back into the crowd, he blended into the noise like he'd never left. The weird girl, loud as ever, spotted him instantly. Where had he been? Kage coolly deflected with the classic dodge, bathroom break. The lights dimmed again and the final performance began. Kage's eyes drifted to the stage and there she was. Mimoka. dressed in glitter, confidence, and absolutely no shame, belting out the opening verse like she owned the place. The crowd? They were eating it up, chanting her name like it was a sacred mantra. Kage stared awestruck. So she was the finale act. And honestly, the excitement was even thicker than during Natsu's set. There was something commanding about her presence. Her voice, her movement, that polished pop star charisma. If you didn't count the whole stripping fiasco, she was kind of incredible. Later, sprawled out on his floor, Kage tried to wrap his brain around everything. Why do I keep getting involved with weird women? But before he could return to the comfort of composition, his doorbell rang. Delivery? He opened it regrettably. Mimoka. Cheerful. Uninvited. Possibly dangerous. With perfect confidence she chirped, I came. The door immediately closed again. Kage's voice filtered through the wood, I'm good thanks. Mimoka wedged herself in the doorframe like a crowbar with heels. Why are you closing the door? Because you're being scary, Kage deadpanned. And seriously, how did she find his place? Apparently she had this convenient little thing for tracking lost items. It was meant to sound casual, but it landed like a GPS-enabled threat. Normally you're supposed to be the one who's lost, Kage muttered. Too late. She was already inside, shoes off, taking in his studio bedroom hybrid like it was an exhibit. This really feels like a boy's room, she said, poking around, tapping his speakers and peeking at his setups. Kage watched, wary. Okay, she's in my room now. But please don't strip again. Then her eyes lit up. A vintage No Girls CD from the Platinum era. She snatched it up with reverence. Kage blinked. She was a No Girl fan too? Just like that, the vibe shifted. From seductive chaos to musical kinship. Maybe she wasn't that bad after all. As their shared love for retro idol groups warmed the air, Kage finally asked the question that mattered. Why do you want my music? She sat on his bed, the light catching her in a surprisingly honest stillness. Then came her answer. I fell in love at first sight. Kage's cheeks lit up like stage lights. With me? Mimoka nearly choked. No way in hell. Like I'd fall for you. Then, playing with her hair, red-faced, she amended, I fell in love with your music, okay? She said his song had drawn her in, like a cleansing wind. Like something that could let her shine her brightest. She needed it. Kage closed his eyes. That was a lot. But kind of flattering. Then she stood, walked closer and gently took his hand. Please. Make a song for me too. Kage hesitated. He had more than enough songs in the vault. But what would Natsu think? Would she feel betrayed? Still, Momoka's next word struck something in him. His music shouldn't stay in the shadows. And she had the potential. He'd seen it on stage. Fine. One song. She practically exploded with joy, asking what changed his mind. He answered honestly, your performance. The song you had didn't quite fit. If it were me, I'd write something different. She froze. Then blushed. You watched that closely? She looked down, quietly grateful. Kage, now regaining his usual tone, added dryly, but seriously. No more stripping. Mimoka sighed, almost bashful for once. Yeah. I won't do that anymore. Hey everyone. I'm just 400 subscribers away from hitting my 1,000 subs goal. Your support means the world. If you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button and help me reach this milestone. In the afternoon heat of the classroom, Kage lay across his desk like a tragic figure in a melodrama. His mind, however, was anything but quiet. I'm not sure what I'll say at the meeting today. I still haven't even touched Natsukawa's stuff, and I haven't finished a single inch of my summer homework either. His hand gripped his scalp. Despair mounted. And then he shouted. Like a man on the edge, his cry shattered the atmosphere, drawing startled looks from the entire class. Naturally, Natsu and Nanako noticed immediately. Natsu blinked, concerned. What's with him? Nanako, sipping juice like this was just another Tuesday, replied, Hasn't he always been like this? Natsu gave her a deadpan look. No way. Meanwhile, Kage was spiraling. Wait. I just ended summer break without explaining anything to Natsukawa, and now I'm pretending like everything's fine. Before his brain could set itself on fire, Natsu called out to him. He brushed it off. It's nothing. But her sharp eyes weren't buying it. After school, Kage pulled the ultimate escape move. He bailed on cleaning duty and vanished. Suspicious, Natsu stood with her mop in hand, raising a brow. This is sketchy. Super sketchy. Her eyes gleamed. I've always wanted to play detective. Nanako, who'd seen enough shoujo dramas to know where this was going, sighed. Are you a kid? Cue stakeout mode. They followed him through the streets, trailing from behind until he entered a family restaurant. Cozy, casual, and not prepared for the scandal about to unfold. Their jaws dropped. Mimoka, the idol, sitting across from Kage, in civilian clothes, and smiling. From behind a fake menu wall, Natsu and Nanako eavesdropped while trying not to inhale too loudly. Nanako slipped off to grab drinks. Natsu stayed glued to the sound of danger. Mimoka started casually. Sorry about last time. I kind of just barged into your house. Natsu nearly fell out of her seat. House? What house? Her head dropped into her hands. What the actual hell happened over summer break? And then, the nuclear line. Kage very casually, I mean that's fine and all, but you suddenly started stripping. That was way more concerning. Natsu's mouth dropped open. Her heart might have flatlined. Mimoka, flustered and pink, how many times are you gonna bring that up? I couldn't help it. I just really wanted it fast. Natsu's head tilted. Wanted? Fast? That means what I think it means, right? Then Kage leaned in. What's next? There are things I want to try. Wanna come to my place? Mimoka replied. Yeah. I want to move on to the next step already. Natsu flushed red. This is way too bold for a family restaurant. Then, as if fate was just showing off, Kage added, bring a few stage outfits too. Mimoka, yeah, got it. That image seared itself into Natsu's mind, Mimoka in idol costume laying on a bed. He's gonna make her wear them. Kage, let's do it tomorrow. Mimoka, sure. Natsu stood up with fire in her chest, whipped off her cap like a superhero about to announce justice and marched to their table. That's a no-go. Both Kage and Mimoka blinked in unison. Huh. Natsu, face burning, using stage outfits for something dirty is just wrong. Mimoka stared. You're not making any sense. Are you misunderstanding something? Natsu, confused now. Huh? A few explanations later, the fog cleared. Apparently, shock of all shocks, Kage was just composing a song for Mimoka. Kage sighed, shoulders low. So much for keeping it low-key. Natsu puffed her cheeks. You should have told me first. Kage blinked. Why? Natsu replied, don't you get it? Nanako finally returned to the table with her drink, squinting at the standoff. When did this become a thing? Natsu folded her arms. We've been working on music together. If he gets busy, that's a problem for me too. Kage, mentally checking if this counted as jealousy, found no answer. But the next moment? Chaos. Mimoka crossed her arms. Kage has business with me. Why are you even here, you damn stalker? Nanako nearly choked on her straw. This just escalated? Natsu replied, I have a connection with Kage too. We've worked hard together. Mimoka, and because you're so bad at your job, I took him from you. Nanako, deadpan, you can't just measure musical collabs like dating points. Natsu shot back. Mimoka has skill, sure, but I'm doing my best too. Nanako blinked. Do they even realize what they're fighting about anymore? Kage, desperate for peace, raised his hands. Let's all calm down. Stay out of this, they yelled in sync. Kage backed away in defeat. I want to go home. Nanako sighed. Guys are so useless at times like this. And then she saw it, Kage, slowly tiptoeing away from the battlefield like a retreating villain. That was it. She narrowed her eyes. Her hand tightened around her cold roux afsa. In one smooth motion, she launched it across the restaurant. Direct hit. Kage was drenched. Rose-tinted justice soaked into his shirt. He blinked, stunned. What was that? Nanako made a peace sign, proud and unbothered. I just delivered divine punishment to a shameless cheater. Think about what you did. Natsu gasped. Nanako, what are you doing? Later, at a calmer hour, Natsu explained the whole situation to Nanako, properly this time. Nanako scratched her head. Yeah, there's no way someone like Kage could pull two timing. Then she turned to the soaked, silently suffering composer. My bad. Kage, still dripping, sighed. Summer was over. But the real drama? It was just getting started. If you're about to like this video, why not subscribe too? It really helps me reach my goal of 1,000 subscribers.